Hey guys, before we get into the video, be sure to smash that like button. Hey guys, Yoshi Bros 1389 here, and in today's video we are going to be looking at Sonic Forces, which I consider to be one of the most disappointing Sonic games ever. But more specifically, the tale of Sonic Forces. We are going to be looking at its development history, the game's cut content, and even an early script for the game's story. What are your thoughts on Sonic Forces? Tell me in the comments and I will give you a hug. After completing development on Sonic Lost World in 2013, Sonic Team started development on Sonic Forces. But not the actual game itself. In the beginning of development, Sonic Team focused on research and development for the new engine for the game, the Hedgehog Engine 2. The engine would go on to be used for future Sega games like Soccer Wars 2019 and Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Olympic Games 2020. I assume the Hedgehog Engine 2 was built upon the pre-existing Hedgehog Engine because the Hedgehog Engine 2 was only in development for a year. So either they really knew what they were doing or the crunch was real. The following year, 2014, all the way till 2016, a man who has been with the series since Sonic R, that man being Shun Nakamura, put together a small team to come up with concept material for the game. So basically concept art and basic ideas for the game. For 2 years. And lastly, from 2016 to 2017, the year of the game's release, actual development for the game was done. Shun Nakamura said, "This time it was longer than any other time." If he is referring to the actual development on the game itself, that is pretty sad. So let's talk about that development time, because just wow. So first off, I think just given 1 year to develop the engine is okay. So you would then think, well, they have 3 years left to develop the actual game. But no! For some reason, the game's producer, Shun Nakamura, put together a small team to work on concept material for 2 years. Why? Why would they spend 2 years of development on concept material? I am honestly dumbfounded by this decision that they chose to do that. And honestly, how can you even do that for 2 years? Imagine coming to work on concept material for 2 years. Moving on. Now, personally, I think this is the most amazing thing about Sonic Forces development. The development time for the actual game was 1 year. That is incredible. The fact that in the year 2017, a game was able to be developed in a year and be fully playable and be on store shelves, like, honestly, that amazes me. Just how were they able to do that? The game looks so good. It features 3 different playable characters and contains most likely very few bugs. And the actual game was developed in the span of a year. The crunch was real for Sonic Team. Now we've taken a look at the abundance of cut content left hidden in the game. Now I won't be going over every piece of cut content just for the sake of my sanity, but if you want to see everything, I will leave a link for the Cutting Room Floors page on Sonic Forces. Without further ado, let's look at some cut content. Let's start with some small stuff, like some unused graphics. We have a placeholder image of the Project Sonic 2017 trailer with the word dummy written on it. This was used for theater previews, some sort of faded paper graphic. Who knows what this could have been used for? This is an early version of the new item notification graphic, along with some other Simulate UI related stuff. Something a little more interesting is an early version of Sunset Heights. We see quite a few differences in this picture. The light in the early screenshot is a lot brighter than it is in the final version. There is no particle effects or explosions. The buildings on the side seem mostly the same, only that some have different colors. Also, there is stuff missing, like the exploded fire hydrant on the left, and a tree on the left was removed from the final game. Also, the bridge in the background in the early screenshot seems to be purple for some reason. We also see UI related to the avatar. Was this stage originally a tag team stage? We then have a couple of splash screens, and a really interesting one is this. Sonic 2017 VR demo version. Does this mean at one point Sonic Forces had some sort of VR in it? What's interesting about this is it says second ROM confidential. So what was the first ROM like? I wonder. Also, it seems to be using that faded paper graphic as a background. Then we have some stuff for the ESRB and a texture with the word stone written in English and the Japanese character for it written on it. We then have an unused texture for what I guess is a t-shirt and a pair of white shorts for the custom avatar. Lastly, we have an unused cube map, which was most likely used for testing purposes. And honestly, I really like it. I mean, I want to walk around in this place. It looks very pretty and peaceful. Now, let's go over some unused audio, and oh boy, is there a lot of that in this game. I won't go over all of these, but be sure to check them out yourself at the cutting room floor. Link will be in the description. These voice clips would have been used in Lost Valley when Sonic is on the sand slide.
Sand waterfalls are great! You can run on them and everything! If only the view was a little better. Gotta get Green Hill back to normal quick!
Now, it seems it was planned at some point in between the second and third cutscene they were going to have voiceovers, but for whatever reason this was cut. Strangely, no versions in Japanese or other languages exist.
With Sonic defeated, Eggman's army quickly took over. Within months, all but a few isolated areas in the world were under their control. Despite the overwhelming odds, a ragtag resistance formed, banding together to continue the fight. And now, a new face prepares to join the struggle.
I don't know if it's just me, but that guy kinda sounds like Roger Craig Smith. Originally, in the Metal Sonic fight on the bridge, there was going to be a lot more talking, and Knuckles was going to give you quite a few hints throughout the fight. Take a listen.
Hey, Metal! Looks like you hit a growth spurt since the last time we met.
Both of you just run fast and catch up. You'll get an opening soon enough.
Looks like he's pretty worn down.
Now's your chance, guys! Let him have it!
Yeah! We did it!
Here, we have what seems to be an unused alternate voice line for the final boss.
Time to wrap things up, partner! Let's do this! Maximum power!
Lastly, there's a few unused clips for null space that trigger when the player would enter an unused portion of the level. So it seems at some point null space was going to be longer than like 5 seconds. Take a listen.
A prison that goes on forever, huh? At least getting sent here taught me something. Nothing beats realizing that you're not alone.
Now let's look at some unused object layouts for some stages, early versions of levels, and even some test stages. Starting off with null space, originally before the double boost segment, there's going to be a section of the level where you would be quick-stepping. During this section, the unused voice lines will play. Motor Canyon was originally going to be a more challenging stage, and a lot less automated compared to the final version. Sunset Heights, Park Avenue, and Red Gate Bridge were originally intended to be one long stage. This unused level is simply titled City. The stage lacks a spawn point, so the player just spawns at the stage's origin point. Considering the overall layout and presence of the Red Gate Bridge QTE, the level was more than likely a tag team stage at this point. Also, there is quite a few different camera angles during the 2D sections of the stage. Something not shown in the footage, but found upon inspecting the stage's object layout in HedgeEdit, an object layout editor for Sonic games, is that there are enemies, wire targets, and rings placed completely outside of the final stage's normal 2D section geometry. It seems that the stage would have been much more expansive and would have gone on around for 3 to 4 minutes, with the rest of Red Gate's bridge's terrain added onto the end as well. There's also an unused double boost section, lacking terrain or collision, that seems to spiral around and eventually end up at Red Gate Bridge's starting point. There's also another early version of Sunset Heights, but only has 30 to 40 seconds of gameplay, because it seems the rest of the level lacks any sort of collision. Now let's look at the 3 test level object layouts. They all lack any sort of level geometry, but all have objects floating in the air. At some point, these test stages probably had floors or something for characters to stand on. Lastly, we have yet another extremely early version of Sunset Heights. In its current form, the level is unbeatable. Here's one I missed. There is yet another unused layout for Sunset Heights, but what's interesting about this one is it's fully automated. The player has no control over Sonic whatsoever. Alright, moving on from unused levels, let's look at unused abilities. Despite not shown in any of Sonic's levels, hacking him into Imperial Tower, Sonic can wall jump where the Avatar would have. Placing Sonic into Shadow stages, he can do Shadow's unique home and attack chain as well. Also, despite not having a single rail in his stages, classic Sonic can grind on rails in a ball. This is most likely a leftover from Sonic Generations because he does the exact same thing in that game. Lastly, I wanted to go over a few unused animations. Classic Sonic has quite a few unused animations carried over from Sonic Generations, and were unused there as well, implying that his model in this game was simply converted into the new formats rather than being rebuilt from scratch. Egg Pawns originally had a seek animation for when the player would leave its search range. Metal Sonic has several unused animations, likely left over from an earlier version of the boss fight. An unused boss object for an earlier fight exists, but is non-functional apart from a short quick-step sequence during its intro. Some of these are very similar to certain animations that classic Metal Sonic does in Generations. Finally, there is 2 unused animations for the golems from Capital City for their hands, where they wave around, almost in a violent manner. So that is all the unused content I'm going to go over in this video. If you want to check out some more, be sure to use the link in the description for the Sonic Forces Cutting Room 4 page. Alright, for the last part of the video, we are going to take a short look at the game's leaked story script from 2016, over a year before the game was supposed to come out. I'll just read the segment where Classic Sonic saves Tails. If you want to look at the script yourself, a link to it will be in the description. Stage 3, Classic. Insert cut, city area. Tails is fixing to power down, eyes are not lit up, and beat down Omega. There's no response, however. Tails says, "Still won't budge." Huh? I thought I could fix you, but then Chaos's shadow draws near unnoticed. Tails turns around and is taken aback. Tails says, "Just when I think I finally got closer to figuring out the secret of Eggman's power." Chaos's hand stretches and approaches Tails. At that moment, Classic Sonic appears with Valtron effects. I think Valtron effects are supposed to be the Phantom Ruby. Only his feet are shown. Tails says, "Wah, I'm done for." When Sonic appears, he approaches Chaos with a dash and kicks him away with a spin attack. Sonic is not shown, just a blue trail. Classic Sonic lands in front of a stunned Tails. Only his feet or back is shown, done to set up the next modern to classic transformation. Tails says, "Sonic." He then says, "Thank you, you saved me." At this time, as Tails is saying this, Sonic's appearance starts to blur, and changes from modern to classic. In case this is difficult to do, we will have a pan where it starts at the feet, and as it moves up, you see that it is classic Sonic. Tails says, "Huh? What?" Tails stares at Sonic. He then says, You're Sonic from another world." Classic nods. Tails says, I knew it, but why are you in this world again? Classic doesn't know either, and he simply shrugs and shakes his head. Tails says, maybe the power that Eggman used has affected other worlds. As if he agrees, Classic slaps his fist to his palm and nods. Tails then says, but if that's the case, it might have been lucky for this world. Tails then says, I want you to help me, Sonic, to save the world where the other Sonic has disappeared. Tails fade out. City area. Classic runs through the city area seeking Eggman. The Find Eggman mission is displayed for Classic. Tails says, Eggman is trying to conquer the world by using the power that brought you to this world. He then follows up with, Eggman signals up ahead, but it looks like the signal has been interrupted. Get to the goal to complete the stage. Then it says Death Egg map display. So this part of the story seems quite similar to the final version. One thing I want to say is that Classic Sonic looked like modern Sonic, but then somehow transforms into Classic Sonic? Or is this just Tails hallucinating? Tails says he's from that other dimension like in the final, so it seems when this script was written they decided to tie Mania into Forces. Is this always the case? Who knows? So that was a tale of Sonic Forces. We went over the game's development time, cut content, and even a segment of an early leaked script. What's your thoughts on all of this? Honestly, it was really interesting going over all of this, and I think this has to be one of the longest videos I have done in a while. But to just go over all this stuff, you just think to yourself, this game could have been so much better. I just don't understand what happened to it. If you liked the video, well, consider giving it a like. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and when you do, turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Alright, hope you had a great day. See ya!